Hello learners, I am Dr. Subodh Kesharwani working with Indira Gandhi National Open University in School of Management Studies. The topic which I am going to talk today is part of our the course called BCOS 183 BCom CBCS, and the title of the course is Computer Application Business. So we are here to talk more about the business process and enterprise applications. We have seen that we have a very elaborative sessions on the various aspects of business and then computers, and then this, if you talk about the business process and enterprise application, today there is a need of an hour, and whole world, the whole business scenario, whole commerce is talking about the technology enabled business. So when you're going to more talking about technology enabled business, I think the customization, the tailor made, the application approach is comes in between, because we are moving from brick and mortar system to click and mortar system, and this application of enterprise with the help of technology, with the help of current thoughts, with the help of different model, is going to play a very important role. And how you are going to enhance the process, how the business is going to be enhanced, and the process is going to be strengthened, because the beauty behind the good business is the process, the modus operandi, the procedures you are taking into consideration. There are some good examples, there are some bad examples. The good examples talks about the company which never exists a decade back, and right now dominating the world markets. And bad examples are the company like they were dominating the world, but they were quite rigid. They always believe in the push approach and not following the pull approach. Means they are not customer centric. So when you are not customer centric, when you are not framing the product or revolving the product which revolves around the particular consumers, I think somewhere you lack. Because when you talk about the business process, you talk about ease of doing, giving better service to the consumers, so that they can have a brand loyalty towards the product. So what we have observed, that this kind of model is going to play a very important role. And if the process of the business and the application used behind the background of the enterprise is working in a systematic manner, I think this is where the things are going to play a very important role. So anyway, we just recapitulate what we have done in our preceding lectures. This is a 4-credit skill based course, and in BCom, and it's purely very innovative in nature. Talks about the role of computers in business, and we have already talked about the computer is changing with the change of time. Computer is no more a hardware and software, but it's somewhat over and above to that. It's a concept, it's a mindset, changing of the mindset, and changing of and executing or adaptation of the certain technologies which are quite contemporary in nature. So this skill based course is make learners more acquainted with the current trends and how the business is going to be established, because when they are going to establish their own business or having their own startup, I think the role of this particular course is very useful to them. Because if they are acquainted with the certain terminology, certain terms, definitely this is going to give them a niche and edge. And once they entered into a corporate world, there it helps them in getting many things, like interacting with the venture capitalists, talking to the angel investors, or how to to work with their employees, synchronize the current situations, and then how much what we can say, because there is a scarcity of capital when you start a business, and there the technology is going to play a very important role. And if you see the present scenario, technology is very expensive affair. It's not everybody cup of tea to go for and buy the technology, because there are some big fishes who have dominated the world market, and there are some small fishes who have just entered into the corporate world. So the big fish always have a malified intention, that they try to eat all these small fishes and try to shut down their business, because if they crush all the small players, very easily they can dominate the whole market. So but on the other hand, the small players, or the initiators have got certain knack in their way. They are the innovators. They come up certain thoughts which are quite innovative in nature. So that could be their USP. So anyway, we will talk about all those issues in a more elaborative manner. And when we talk about the computers, it's an application we have already covered. And when we talk about softwares, it could be operating softwares or the application software. Then certain web applications are there, because whole world is right now moving through web, and internet based transactions are coming up. Internet based business is coming up, which we usually call e-commerce or m-commerce. Then business information systems we have already talked about, and backbone of behind any business is the data, and how you're going to manage the data, the big data analytics or database management system. So this was all about which we have covered. And now we are going to talk about a very important topic, which starts with the level of management. I think when students start learning the commerce or the management, which we usually have in our first semester, since this is a third semester course. So first semester talks about the three levels of management, that is operational level, tactical management level, or this strategical level. So if you bifurcate this level of management in technological perspective, you find out there were certain softwares which started with structured manner, then semi-structured software were there, then unstructured software there, and then finally what we observed, that decision structure were there. So again, operational management are there, tactical management are there, and strategic management are there. When you talk about the strategic operational management, you talk about the blue collars employees, the employees who are quite skilled in nature, and they are just concentrating on the operational issues. Whatever the work it had been allocated, they just confine to that and try to accomplish the task. Like in automobile industry, there are certain operational workers who are in the process of assembling the cars. So they have no role in decision making or tactical decisions, but they are just concentrating on their work. They could be engineers, they could be the floor managers. So for them, the software had been started. The first software which was started called the transaction processing system, which just concentrating on this operational management issues. And afterwards, certain time, what happened, the demand of this operational management comes up, because from this blue collar, certain employees promoted, and they become a part of the middle level. The moment they become the middle level, part of the middle level, they are quite techno savvy, and on the other hand, they are having managerial skills also. So they are the one who are bridging the gap between the operational managers who are at the bottom of the pyramid and then at the top of the pyramid. So they are considered to be middle managers, and then at the upper of the pyramid you find out the strategic management are there. So these strategic managers are the promoters, they are the founders, they are the creators, and they are the one who had invested in the company. And if you see, they have somewhat the little bit operational skills and some extent of technical skills, but on the other hand they are playing a very vital role in managerial issues, like how to generate the fund, how to invest, how to interact with the suppliers, and this kind of model is there. So now we all are familiar with this pyramid and layers of management. Now right side you see the transaction processing system is there. Then you find out the management information system is there, which talks about the MIS, and which talks about how you are going to manage. So just to tackle the middle level managers, the management information systems was originated, and it was just focusing on the management, their payroll, and how they are going to manage, their subordinates, and how they interact with their superiors. So this kind, for them, this MIS had been introduced in the year 1990s, and later on what happened, then there is a great use of decision related software comes, that automatically the decisions come up. So for that, the decision support systems come up, which we usually call DSS. Then you have some more softwares which talks about information systems. Then you have enterprise resource planning is one of the softwares. Then you have other softwares. And right now you talk about at the top of the pyramid, the artificial intelligence had come up. So if you see this AI or machine learning or deep learning or the Internet of Things, you find out this talks about human-less model, human-less technologies, or where you will find out that these technologies are directly working. So they work as a robots, or rather you can say they work as a cobots. So collaborative effort of the humans and machines. So this is where the model is there. Anyway, this is what the business process is. A business process is a method, is a which is starts with the customer and end to consumers. So how you're going to configure the consumers, it's the process talks about that ease of doing, how the business is going to be more friendly in nature, more customized in nature, so that end of the day customer could be benefited. I think if you see there is a great paradigm shift now from commerce to electronic commerce. And when electronic commerce was started, I think there were certain confusions was in the mind of the consumers, that what will happen if we get the product. If we get the product at our doorstep, how we are going to refund the product, get the refund of the product, how we are going to get the return, when could I get my money back in my wallet or in my plastic money or in my account. So the beauty behind the e-commerce was the refund policy, and the company have found the gap that the consumers being a consumers, they have a certain impression that if they are safe about their product, and if they get the refund of the product in a very frequent manner, I think they can win the battle. So they have started configuring, they had started customizing the product, customizing the process in such a manner that if any consumers buy the product and he or she is not satisfied with this particular format or particular product, very easily he can get the refund, and that refund can be executed in 7 to 15 days. So there were some companies who have acclimatized themselves with this new pedagogy, but on the other hand, some fails to provide the services to the consumers. What happened that those who have failed, they were on the deathbeds and they stands no more. So you see in the startup that lot of thousands of startup comes, but end of the day you find out only 3 or 4 get the success or establish themselves into the market. The reason behind is what? The reason is very simple, that they have a phenomena, they have a philosophy of ease of doing and providing the better service to the consumers. If they are not going to give the better service to the consumers, they will be redundant, they will be out from the picture. So custom process, emails, bulk operations, then all those these are the pedagogy, and the guru mantra is just the configuration or the customization. So now, on the other hand, there were certain enterprise applications which were, designed in a tailor-made mode, and these enterprise are, the big in capacity, big in employee, or their consumer base are in billions, and they are considered to be the Fortune 500 companies. It's not like that the small companies who have got a base of thousands of consumers, they are going for it. Now the companies who have got a base of billions of consumers, they are in the list of Fortune 500 companies. They are emphasizing more on applications. Their legacy systems are now becoming more integrated. They are going to change the mindset of the individuals, and more important, they adapt and they are more equipped to adapt the change. So from there, what we observe that these enterprise applications are coming up, and these applications are quite customized in nature. Like for engineering company, for automobile industry, there is one kind of software which are just focusing on the enterprise. On the other hand, there are some learning softwares. Like if you talk about the MIT or Harvard, now these institutions are catering the huge number of students. Some are in a open and distance learning mode. Some are in a brick and mortar mode where they are conventionally coming and taking the education at their doorstep. But on the other hand, some are at different places, some are technological enabled. So for that, they have got a different format of softwares which are just working in a content management system mode or the learning management system mode. So what we observe that these softwares have come up, and some are indigenous, developed by the Indian companies. Some are developed by, like if you talk about the Salesforce, it is exclusively designed for the CRM, like customer relationship management. And then Amazon is also coming up with the dedicated servers or the cloud servers. So the company who is in e-commerce now in web services also. And on the other hand, you have SAP. SAP is a German vendor which is pioneer in providing the ERP softwares, and these softwares are having a huge cost, like it starts with 10 crores and goes up to 100 crores or 1000 crores. But based on the utility of features you are going to take. So on the other hand, Microsoft Dynamics had come up, which is customized for the small and medium sized enterprise. Then some small packages are there. Shopify is there, which is making a software for the first generation entrepreneurs or the startups who have recently been come up. So a lot of model is coming up. Zoho is the accounting software which is there. So what we observe that these enterprise applications are based on the logics and business logics and tools to and it's provide it's enhance or improve the productivity and efficiency of the company, because it's linked with the technology and you are linked with the cloud, and you are moving through this certain login based format, and very easily you are connect with the multiple locations. I think when you talk about the Fortune 500 companies, these companies are having their wear boots not in one jurisdictions, but they have a presence in various part of the world. So and they have huge bank of employees and got good customer base, billion customer base. So how they are going to link their employees with their consumers, with the technology? For that, this application is going to play a very important role. So if you see this particular course, I think business information system is the 5th unit and it's part of the block 2, and we have already covered the first block, and this block 2 talks about this data information, business information system, database management system I already talked about. And when you talk about this enterprise application, I think this is a niche area which I am going to cover today. And when you talk about the enterprise, you have talk about decision support system, you have talk about enterprise resource planning, you have talk about management information system. So I am going to talk about these 3 terms, and there are certain current trends which had come up, like artificial intelligence had come up, and some other model had come up. So we are going to discuss all those models, like how the logistics is going to be enhanced. For that, certain supply chain management model is there. So anyway, if you see this particular image, the functional areas, I think this is the suppliers and this is the consumers, and you see how the supply chain management system works. And this is basically the level of management which I was talking about. The pyramid is there, lower level, operational level, tactical and statistical, and then process is there. How the consumers are linked with one another, then sales and marketing is one hand, manufacturing, then finance and accounting, human resource. What is the moral? And the moral of the story behind this is that you have distinguished functional areas in management. Like there was a time when functional areas confined to 4 domains like HR, finance, marketing and operations, but right now it is somewhat more and above to that. Customer relationship management is one of the burgeoning domains. Then you have got supply chain management, because logistics is no more a logistics just now. It just starts with the customer and end to consumers, and anytime the consumers can be can have a privilege to use the logistics. So the companies, the e-commerce portals are now quite savvy in making their logistics support more advanced and more economical too, because there was a time when if you courier any product, if you dispatch any product, it charge huge amount, because it goes on the basis of the weight of the product or the size of the product, or the feel of the product. Then what happened, they have blanketly make the this logistics amount quite flexible, and it is now somewhat reasonable also. So what I mean to say that when you talk about the application integration, it is business intelligence, it is CRM, it is e-commerce, internet portals, then legacy systems is there. There are certain the day-to-day software is there which is already used by the organization, and if the organization is not able to adapt those legacy softwares and always talk about the conventional contemporary software, I think they would be in trouble, because you have to have the latest software in such a manner that it can interlink with the legacy systems. So if the software linked with the legacy system, the routine work, the past records are also quite friendly in nature, and it can adapt with that particular change. So there are certain challenges of enterprise application integration, like warehouse, cloud computing, then business intelligence, and you see this financial system and e-commerce. So this enterprise application integration is talking about how you're going to integrate, how you're going to link all your functionaries which are available in the department and get the result of that. The marketing guy can have access of the warehouse, and then he can able to know like how much inventory is available on the warehouse, and the cloud computing can provide the data on the real time basis. So what I mean to say, this enterprise application integration is very important ingredient, and this enterprise application integration is somewhat integrating the different the format which is available in an organization and try to get the results. Like business intelligence want to know about the e-commerce related information, they can. Financial system can be available on the domain, but it could be in a restricted mode. It should not be in a public mode. So how the things which are going to be restricted, which are going to be open, that also need to be integrated. So if you talk about enterprise software, I think this enterprise software, also known as enterprise application, is a computer software, and it is a combination of ERP. It is when you talk about ERP is an industry term, is a broad set of activity supported by multi-module application software, and the guru mantra behind the ERP is how you're going to integrate, how you're going to integrate the various departments, and that is where this enterprise software is very important. Engineering, human resource, purchasing, project management, CRM, data, and a lot of other. So enterprise software is an integral part. And if you talk about, there are some popular built-in enterprise software, because the trend is changing and we are talking more about the cloud computing. We are more talking about artificial intelligence. The nanotechnology is there, and the human and robots are facilitating a lot to the humans, to the consumers. So more use of artificial intelligence, and we have the way the plastic money is going to be there, the wallet is there very easily. There's less human intervention. So in hotels, in restaurants, what we have observed, that even in cars we have observed that in automobile industry the change is coming up, where the internet cars is coming up, which is chauffeur-less cars. So you don't need a human to run the car. The GPS and other technology is so much equipped, so much enabled that it can work, and the software is very easily do all the things. So this is the model which is there. And if you talk about the types of system, I think we start with the transaction processing system, then management information system. Decision support system is like the decision which need to be taken by the top level. For that, certain softwares are there, and when you are going to take decisions, when this product is going to be redundant, and when you are going to introduce a new product, all those the terminologies are quite important. Expert systems are right now in need of an hour, because in technology, in automobile industry, we have seen that how the expert systems are doing all the things. The Alexa or Siri, this kind of the voice based voice recognition softwares are there, or Google Assistants are there. We have seen that they are doing many things. Right now the expert systems are so much equipped that they can switch off the light, they switch on the light. So with the just you have to convey to them that you can switch on, you can switch off, so they can very easily do that. So this kind of voice based recognition model is coming up, and e-commerce or m-commerce system is there. Then supply chain management is changing, and with the change of time, it's not, there was a time when supply chain management was just confined to the suppliers only, but right now logistics is changing with the change of time, and whole world is depend on that. So how the supplier is going to be linked with the consumers, that is more important. So this chain is playing a very important role. And if you talk about this type of information system which I have already talked about, this transaction processing system, then decision support system, and enterprise information system. So if you see this particular image, you will find out that we start with TPS, transaction processing system, then we have talked about management information system. Then what we have seen, we have seen that decision support system had come up, then ESS, enterprise information system, or expert system, or knowledge based system is coming up, and finally where you are going, you see that AI is knocking the door. And when you talk about artificial intelligence, I think a lot of change had come up. The whole model is changing, and with the change of time, and when you are talking about artificial intelligence, you are talking about robotics, you are talking about the blockchain technology. And this blockchain is technology which was started by Satoshi Nakamoto, who was a Japanese, and started to regulate the bitcoins, which we usually call the virtual currencies. Now it is changing, and this blockchain technology is working as a chain and trying to integrate all the chains. So which includes the machine, which includes the robots, which includes the humans. So a lot of change is coming up, and we start with revamping the legacy systems and changing the mindset, and right now we are just changing the technology with the machine and with the robots rather, we can say. So if you talk about transaction processing system, this is somewhat useful, and it allows for time delay between an item, and this transaction processing system was confined or rigid to one of the aspect, but with the change of time, this TPS has also been changed, and you see this the money is very easily transferring without swapping, and with the help of card, the Wi-Fi and other approaches, the automatically the money is going to be transferred. There are certain cards which are Wi-Fi equipped where you don't have to swap the card. So swapping a physical contact, because the lockdown period is there, the pandemic stage is going on, and this physical community spread is going to be stopped when you are using more technology by that. So MIS is somewhat one step ahead to that, talks about analysis, information, efficiency, then decision, evaluation and software. So what we observe that this is the model which is there, and decision support system is something was changed with the change of time, and what we observe that the legacy system, the software which we are using, also changing with the change of time. So sir, if you talk about decision support system, it's based on input, processing, output and users, and whole technology, whole computers based on the garbage in, garbage out philosophy. So DSS analyze the data which is used in decision making by the management, and playing a very important role because it's hit the strategical managers who are sitting at the top of the pyramid. So when the data is complex, it requires decision making, and right now some of the decisions are governed by the robots also. So AI is somewhat helping the decision support systems to get the things in a final shape. ERP I have already talked about. It's a very gigantic software, and it was started in 1998 by, and the pioneers are the SAP, and there you name all the big organization where the consumer base is in millions or in billions. They go for this ERP softwares, and ERP takes into consideration and integrate all the departments. It stands for enterprise resource planning, and how you're going to plan your resource, and how your legacy system is going to be linked, how we are going to plan. So it's not like that you are just concentrating or regulating the non-living beings, but sometimes you are interact with the living beings also. So ERP is a complete format as far as the organization is concerned, and with the change of time, the ERP had also been changed. So there are certain companies, because when ERP had been introduced, it was catering the Fortune 500 companies, but right now small and medium sized enterprise or for the academic institutions, the ERP had come up. If you talk about the Indira Gandhi National Open University, we are also using a PeopleSoft or ERP softwares to regulate our day-to-day working, as well as to interact with our students also, our learners also. So this student support system is also equipped when you talk about the ERP systems, and learning is also going to be changed because it is equipped with content management system or learning management system. Now this is the change in the society, of the mindset, and this AI is coming up. We have seen that we are right now talking about the hybrid age, and hybrid age talks about one step ahead what the blended model is there. So it talks about how the consumers thinks, and how the respondents who are going to reciprocate, they can decide. So either you talk about the learning, or you talk about the automobile industry, you find out the change is coming up, and we have replaced the fuel cars with electric cars, and this kind of model is there. So the goal of AI enabled companies is not proprietary innovation, but solving business problems or making business functions optimized using other things. I think we have talked a lot about this business process and enterprise applications. This is a term which changed with the change of time. It starts with transaction processing system, then MIS, then ERP, then EIS, then AI. But end of the day, the moral of the story is that you are going to benefit the consumers. You are going to design the format which is going to be benefit the consumers by and large, and reaching to the unreached. So this technology is something which is working in such a manner that it's reached to the unreached and benefit the consumers, or because end of the day, because Mahatma Gandhi have also quoted in the very beginning that consumers is the king, and if you are not going to revolves or make the things which can benefit the king, ultimately you will be in trouble, and then that could be the reason the fall of the company is there. So the way commerce is coming up, the business is changing, I think technology is going to play a very important role. In coming years, you will find out more terminologies are coming up. But this technology is nothing but change of mindset, and end of the day, how we are going to adapt, how we are going to acquaint with that, that is more important. So in our next sessions, we are going to definitely talk something which is more and over and above to that. Thank you very much. Thank you. हो गया सर?